Update, I'm recording all these videos on the same day. As you can tell by the same shirt that I'm wearing. I'm working late the next few days. I'm not going to have any recording time of a free house. So, I got to keep you guys updated. I got to keep the content rolling, you know. I got to keep fucking regular content out on a daily basis. Ben Askren versus Robbie Lawler was just happened. It just happened 6 hours ago. Not 6 hours ago, much longer. Last night it happened. Ben Askren chokes out Robbie Lawler with a bulldog choke. A lot of controversy. Here's what we learned, though. Here's what we learned about this fight. We learned that Ben Askren isn't as good as maybe he thinks. But he gets the win. Very good. But let me tell you what we learned. We learned that Ben Askren isn't a dominant wrestler. Because in the first part of the round, especially at 170, he's not the most muscle-bound guy. So he's going to get out-strengthed by a lot of guys. But Robbie Lawler picks him up, slammed him on his head. Ben Askren couldn't get him down at first. I think he panicked a little bit. Robbie Lawler picked him up, slammed him on his head, pounding out Ben Askren's face. I thought Ben Askren was out for a second. I thought Robbie Lawler had won the fight. But Ben Askren another shot brings him back, and he gets into full guard, half guard, gets himself back up, and then straight back into looking for the clinch and looking for the takedown. He gets it, but Lawler sort of stuffs it a bit, getting back to his feet, doing very well at defending. You know, Lawler known for his takedown defense, doing very well at defending the takedown. Then he ends up in a weird position where he sort of got Ben Askren's back, but Ben Askren has his head in a bulldog choke like this. And he's wrenching on his head, and he's fucking wrenching it. And Lawler's there, and he has his hand on Ben Askren's head. And then Lawler goes like this. And drops his hand to the canvas. If I'm the ref, I call that fight off. Right when I see that. As soon as I see that hand go... And his hand was limp on the floor like this. Like, it's not like he had his hand sprawled out and he was sort of bracing himself. Or he had his hand sort of on his knuckles. He was like this. And it was just limp on the ground. If I'm the ref in Herb Dean, the commentators are right next to him. Joe Rogan screaming. Here's what I like about the commentators. Cruz, Rogan, and Anik are screaming, "He's out! Oh my God, he's out!" Herb Dean calls off the fight. And then Joe Rogan, "Oh, bad stoppage." You know, all of them were screaming that he's out as soon as the hand dropped down. And Herb Dean thought it as well. And I think he was out. Here's what I think happened. Here's the breakdown for you guys, okay? Listen fucking up. Listen upwards. Open your ears for my fucking intellect. I feel like this is what happened. Robbie Lawler went out for the choke. Okay? Ben Askren saw the hand go limp and saw Herb Dean sort of come in and touch Lawler and release the choke a little bit. Because he looks at Thingy and says, "Is the fight over? Is the fight over?" And Herb's like, no. And he releases the choke a little bit. And he's like, he's out. Like, he's sort of looking like he's out, right? So he releases the choke a bit. In the time that he released the choke a little bit, Robbie Lawler regained consciousness and sort of came back to the feeling of Herb Dean shaking his arm. And came back to and he went, I'm in. And then Askren releases a choke. It's already over. Herb Dean's called it off. I don't blame Herb Dean. I would have called the fight off if I was a ref. If I saw a hand go limp like that, I'd call the fight off. But it's just weird that Robbie Lawler came back into consciousness before the fight was called. In that split window where Ben Askren has him in a bulldog choke, tightening it. It's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Robbie's arm goes limp. Herb Dean steps in to grab Robbie. Ben Askren's like, "Are you stopping this?" Releases the choke a little bit because he thinks the fight's over. But still has the choke in position, but releases it a little bit. He's not straining with all his might anymore. You know? He thinks, the fight's... Is it over? He's like looking at him a little bit while he's doing it. Releases it. In the time that he releases it, and Herb Dean grabbing Robbie Lawler's arm and shaking it about, Robbie Lawler comes to, in the headlock. He's got space to breathe. Comes to... I'm in it. Thumbs up, the fight's been called off. It's too late. I don't blame Herb Dean whatsoever. That's just a weird circumstance. But I think that a rematch isn't necessary. I think Ben Askren's going to fly out to London like he said. And he's going to get the winner of Darren Till versus Jorge Masvidal, which we think is going to be Darren Till. He's probably going to be the heavy favourite. Yeah. Phenomenal fight. I don't care about the controversy. It's like the Chiesa versus Kevin Lee. You know? Obviously, that was a worse stoppage than this one. This one had sort of warrant behind it, but you saw Chiesa sort of go, and Kevin Lee chokes him out. If that kept going, Kevin Lee is winning the fight. If that kept going, Askren's winning that fight. That Bulldog choke's just getting tighter and tighter. He had the forearm right under the chin, choking him out. And that's it. That's what happened. I don't see the controversy. I think if that fight kept going, Ben Askren would have won that shit. It sucks for Robbie Lawler, yes, that it was controversial. But I think with Robbie Lawler deep down inside knows, okay, I went out, but I'm just going to protest it a little bit because, you know, that's what you would do. If you can get a chance at a rematch, that's what you would do. But I think a rematch is the worst thing they could do. It will hold up the division. Ben Askren shouldn't be fighting Robbie Lawler in the first place. Ben Askren has a list of guys that he has beef with. Give him one of them. Give him Darren Till in London. After Till dismantles Masvidal. We'll see. We'll see, guys. Like and subscribe. It was a great fight, though. Action-packed. People have said Askren's a boring fighter. I mean, you got your money's worth, right? I'll watch Askren again. Like and subscribe.